Hello there, Internet. My name is Mogwai, and ahead of us lies yet another brilliant day in the arena. As today, we're going to go ahead and jump on for one last ride in a MONOBLUE mount deck. Now, this is where the spice really begins. Let's see if I can do a good job at this deck tech, because, you know, a lot of you experienced players are probably like, what the hell is this? This is a MONOBLUE mount deck. Mounts are creature types that have been introduced within the latest expansion, the Outlaws of the Thunder Junction. The mount creatures have a keyword that's exclusive to them, known as saddle. So if we look at Caustic Bronco, for example, we see that below there it says saddle 3. So this is MTG's way of incorporating a keyword to try to, like, you know, give you the sense that you're essentially mounting these mount units with another unit and getting perks off of that, right? And I think it's really, really neat design. I find it extremely fun, and this deck has a lot going on for it with that. Because normally what you expect from mount decks, I think the more established version is Jund, which is instead of white, they play green, right? They play black, red, and green. But the reason why I wanted to play white, I'm gonna get into that in 1 second, but first let me explain them out, because I'm already getting ahead of myself. Saddle is a mechanic that says tap any number of creatures you control with a total power of whatever number it says or more. Because this, in this case, is saddle 3, but there's, for example, Calamity that we're gonna go over in a moment is saddle 1. This mount becomes saddled until the end of turn. You can only use saddle as a sorcery, so you can't apply it as an instant in the middle of an attack or something. You saddle preemptively, you tap that unit, it's mounting the mount, and then you get the perks off of that. Caustic Bronco is an example of a mount that has seen quite a bit of play in Golgari mid-range decks. It functions really well alongside the Mosswood Dread Knight because it has 3 power. Whenever Caustic Bronco attacks, you reveal the top card of your library and you put it into your hand. You lose life equal to that card's mana value if Caustic Bronco is not saddled, but if he is, the opponent is the one who loses that amount of life. Caustic Bronco is here on this deck kind of like as a late addition to essentially make my Frontier Seeker more consistent. The main mount card that this deck is ultimately built around is Calamity, the Galloping Inferno. You've seen this in the Jund mount deck as well. This card is extremely powerful, but can do a lot more than just, you know, copy really expensive creatures, right? Like, you'd actually get tremendous value out of it in a more of like a mid-range shell, which is what we're running here. Calamity is a legendary horse mount creature for 6 mana that has a 4/6 stat line and haste, which means that it can attack as soon as it comes onto the battlefield. Whenever Calamity Galloping Inferno attacks while saddled, choose a non-legendary creature that saddled it this turn and create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of it. And then you sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next end step. So at the end of the turn, the token is sacrificed. You repeat this process once. So as you saddle Calamity, whatever you use to saddle Calamity and is tapped, as Calamity attacks, Calamity will spawn token copies of that saddled card twice. Which, if combined with strong upon entry effects, can lead to not only a lot of damage, but also a lot of value. And that is what we're building the deck around, because the reason why we incorporate white as a color in this deck is for this spell right here. This is the core of One Last Ride, One Last Job. It is a spree spell. So spree, again, for newer players, this may be a bit confusing, but I'll try to explain it efficiently here. Spree means that you can choose one or more additional costs. So One Last Job technically costs 3 mana, but then you have to choose, there's 3 different options here, and if you want to trigger those effects, you have to pay the cost for them on top of the original cost as well. So for 2 mana, we can return target creature card from our graveyard to the battlefield. For just 4 mana, we can return target mount or vehicle card from our graveyard to the battlefield. And then for 1 mana, we can return target aura or equipment card from our graveyard to the battlefield attached to a creature you control. In this deck, the last ability, the last option, we never use. Just forget about that. We're focusing on the first 2 because for 5 mana, we can resurrect a creature from our graveyard onto the battlefield. For 4 mana, we can resurrect a mount from the graveyard onto the battlefield. For 6 total mana, we can do both. And that's when this card really shines. That's when the value is really met, because we can bring back something like Calamity and then bring back another creature that could potentially synergize with it. And we have a lot of creatures that would love to saddle Calamity, and you'll see why. So this card is built around, like, the key mounts are, even though Caustic Bronco is there, the very key mounts in this deck are Calamity and Fortune the Loyal Steed. Fortune the Loyal Steed is a 3 mana 2/4 legendary mount that upon entry will allow you to scry 2. So look at the top 2 cards of your deck and decide individually on each one whether to put them at the bottom of the deck or to keep them on the top, and in what order you keep them. So you have full control over those top 2 cards. You can do whatever you want with them placement wise, which can really help you find the cards that you need to find. The Scry 2 effect on a 3-drop is really nice, but the reason why we play Fortune is for the the ability that I showcased after, right? For just saddling 1, which means we can saddle any creature that has 1 power or more. When Fortune attacks while saddled, at the end of combat, we exile it up to 1 creature and up to the creature that saddled it. And then after the attack happens, both of them are exiled and then immediately brought back onto the board. What's the point of this? Well, with Fortune, we get to trigger the upon entry effect again, and we get to scry again. And whatever we saddled with Fortune, we get to bring back to the board again to trigger the upon entry effect. So Fortune can synergize exceptionally well with cards like Hostile Investigator. Whenever Hostile Investigator enters the battlefield, target opponent discards a card. We can play this, and then immediately as we play it, we can use Fortune to saddle. So Hostile Investigator gets on top of Fortune. Fortune attacks, Fortune is exiled, and so is Hostile Investigator. We bring them back, we scry, and we get to discard another card from their hand, thus generating tremendous value. I make a mistake in today's recording because I thought that if Fortune is blocked and dies, then the effect would not trigger for the card that saddled it, but it does. So if you attack with Fortune and Fortune is killed in combat, but you saddle something like Hostile Investigator, after the attack happens, the exile effect will still occur, which is something that I thought did not happen, but realized I was wrong on. And I mentioned it in the video in a certain match. I'll make sure I have a pinned comment for the video as well, because I did make a mistake in my narration there. So just clarifying that real quick. As we have other creatures that also work really well with upon entry effects. We have the Vault Plunderer, which can enter the battlefield and we can target ourselves, lose 1 life, and draw a card. We have the Kutsil Flanker, which is a really good white 3-drop that has several different options for us to go with. We can exile an opponent's graveyard in case we're facing a very graveyard centric deck. We can just take that away from them. We can also just gain 2 life and scry 2, which can be extremely helpful in aggressive matchups like mono red, as we're able to recycle this upon entry effect again and again. But Vault Plunder is there for more like slower matchups in which we need to make sure we keep drawing cards. And both of these cards have also something in common, that is their stat line. They have 3 power, which allows them to saddle the Caustic Bronco as well. So there's even more reason as to why I chose these specifically. We have Liliana of the Veil as a 3-of, because Liliana of the Veil is just a very good planeswalker in general, but in this deck, we can use the +1 to discard Calamity from our hand so that we can bring it back with one last job. We can also discard Calamity through a full set of Bitter Triumph, which we can either pay 3 life or discard a card in order to activate the spell. which gives us the ability to destroy a creature or a planeswalker for just 2 mana. Frontier Seeker is the main reason why we're playing Caustic Bronco though, and that is because when we play Frontier Seeker, we get to look at the top 5 cards of our library, and we choose either a mount or a plains card. If you look at our deck distribution, we have 3 Calamities, 4 Fortunes, and 4 Broncos, which adds a total of 11 cards in our deck that are mounts. That's not enough for this card not to brick, but that's where the land selection comes into play, because not only are we playing a one-off of a plains, we're also playing a full set of the shadowy Backstreet, and you cannot see that right now, but I'm gonna switch my cam real quick, going over these lands. The shadowy Backstreet is a plains. It's a plains swamp. You see land, and then you see it's a plains swamp, so it counts as a plains. That and the Elegant Parlor as well. So these lands allow us to really up the card count, so that Frontier Seeker right here does not miss. And that's why we chose those specific lands. We also have 3 copies of Cavern of Souls, 2 copies of Bucolic Ranch, which is a good land for mount decks in general. We have a total of 10 potential sources of red to be able to make sure that we can cast Calamity on 6 if we need to. Cavern of Souls, the 3 of is there so we can cast Calamity without having to worry about her being countered. That's what Cavern of Souls does. We play it, we select mount, and then we can play our mount cards with this land, and they will not be counterspelled, which is also really important in the control matchup. I also want to give a big shout out to the 5-drops here. As we covered these other cards, we can move on to these 2 and end the deck tech right there. We have, first of all, the Harvester of Misery. The Harvester of Misery is amazing in this deck, and it really helps us win against decks like Boros Convoke. We can discard this card from our hand to -2/-2 something. At instant speed, which is really nice, so we can use this as early game removal. But then we can also play for 5 mana, and whenever it enters the battlefield, other creatures get -2/-2 until the end of turn, which can allow us to board wipe a spread out board state. Harvester of Misery, discarding itself to trigger the ability, can allow us to just, without having to combine with any other card, use this as removal early and have it put to our graveyard, so we can potentially bring it back with one last job in those specific matchups as well. So I really like Harvester of Misery on this build. And last but definitely not least, huge shout outs to the Shepherd of the Clouds, the prime target for Calamity on this build. Shepherd of the Clouds is also why my deck structure, my curve is so fixated on 3 mana. Because whenever it enters the battlefield, I can return target permanent card with value 3 or less from our graveyard to our hand. Permanent includes not only creatures, but stuff like Liliana of the Veil as well. But there's more. If there is a mount on the field, we actually bring it directly to the battlefield. And this makes the combo with Calamity disgusting, because we have Shepherd of the Clouds, we saddle into Calamity, we attack with Calamity. Calamity spawns 2 copies of Shepherd of the Clouds. Shepherd of the Clouds is 2/4 attack flying creatures are attacking, and both of them trigger the upon entry effect, which allows us to bring back a 3-drop, whether it's a planeswalker or a creature, from our graveyard onto the battlefield. Tremendous value, tremendous tempo, tremendous damage. Amazing combo. That is essentially what the deck is built around. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the build right there. My deck techs keep getting longer and longer, man, but I really want to dive deep and explain why I chose the cards that I chose. Hopefully I don't ramble too much. Let me know if the deck techs are a little bit too long for your taste and I can speed them up a little bit. But I really want to make sure that I cover everything that the deck is about. And I just did, so I'm going to stop talking. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for daily Magic the Gathering Arena content. Hope you enjoyed today's games. They're pretty fire. Pun intended. I really think you're gonna like him. This deck is spicy as hell. It's definitely not tier 1 by any means, but it can compete. And it's so satisfying. And I think it makes for a great video. So yeah, love you. Have a soul day. Enjoy the matches. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, here we go. Let's retire this deck slick. Hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's video. Let's go for one last ride. Really excited to play this one. I've been pumped to play this one, baby. Been doing a lot of optimizing. And I think we got the deck ready to go. Frontier Seeker, Cut Sails Flanker, and Vault Plunder. Good curve here. Already all 3 sources of mana, even though red is only really relevant for Calamity. So, most importantly, we have white and black accessible to us, even though black is in the form of damage. So we got to keep that in mind. Got to be careful in case we're into an aggressive deck, but we see an island, and already that's not the case. Let's drop the shadowy backstreet, giving us a non-painful... Oh yeah, we keep that. We keep that. Cavern of Souls. I see island. Very important. We're going to be dropping the plains now. Frontier Seeker. Countered, okay. That's why Cavern of Souls is going to be really important. Oh yeah, there it is. Cave of Koilos. I'm going to go with the Vault Plunder. More counter spells. But that's why we kept this Cavern of Souls, and that's why we played as a 3 of. Okay, let's drop the Concealed Courtyard here. Our flanker has flash, so we don't need to play it on our turn. We can play it at the very end of our opponent's turn. That way, in order for them to counter it, like, they could leave themselves wide open. So we make use of the flash from this card, especially in a matchup like this, really important. They still just have everything counter spells. Okay. So Forest Springs. Liliana. Can you counter this? Auto pay.
No distractions.
Bitter trials.
We all have things we'd rather forget.
Tolarian Terror. Totalitarian error. Liliana, baby. Let's get rid of it.
One of your friends has to leave.
This thing has ward, but Liliana does not target it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Cavern of the Souls into Calamity. Well worth the ping. Cavern of the Souls prevent it from being countered. That's the power of this land, and that's why we run it as a 3 of. So when we run to these blue decks, we can play Calamity without a worry in the world. For a while, I had 2 Cavern of Souls and 3 ranches, but we need 3 Cavern of Souls. Like, the ability to play Calamity without having to worry about a counterspell is massive in the control matchup. So we got our opponent in a really precarious position here because they just focus on countering everything. But you gotta read. You gotta read. Why don't you read? To be honest, like I do the same. Wade to black. What are you playing, Wade? We're keeping this. This may seem like a very heavy curve, but that's the beauty of Harvester of Misery. It's actually removal. We're gonna lead off with a Shadowy Backstreet because it's tapped. We have no turn 1 play. There's a Bucolic Ranch right there, which is actually not bad at all. But we're going to get rid of it because we already have 3 lands in hand. We want stuff that isn't lands at this point. Even though Ranch could be nice, we still don't know what kind of matchup we're facing. Okay, Overgrown Farmland. Interesting. Concealed Courtyard. Harvester of Mystery is enabled. I'd love to see a 2-drop here. No such thing. We're going to go... So Forest Springs into Liliana.
Nobody knows Dominaria's shadows like me. I'm tired of your secrets.
I'm gonna discard Harvester of Misery because I don't think we're facing a deck where it's gonna be really relevant. They have a lot of removal. Yeah. Yup, but that's the beauty of Liliana, baby. You can go for the -2 and get rid of that creature.
Off you go.
Off you go. Let's go with the Plunderer first. Target ourselves. You know, hit us a little bit. No pain, no gain. Drop it, so Forest Springs. We got that Cavern of Souls and the Galloping Inferno. Though we're not really in a situation... this could just... I could just double up on Liliana. This is just tremendous Liliana value here. It's just how it has to be. Let's play safe. Let's just get rid of another... This Liliana got...
Your friends has to leave.
nutty value here. And we're gonna use Takenuma at the end of their turn. We're gonna channel it to bring back Liliana. But right now, it's not Liliana who we're going with. Right now, it's Calamity. Galopin' Inferno! Because we got a Vault Plunder ready to go. We're gonna saddle you. Oh, baby. And we're gonna swing. And we're gonna get that value, boy. Targeting ourselves, pinging us here. Boom, boom. Card draw. Tremendous, tremendous value, tremendous damage. Huge. And if they found a way to kill Calamity, we can bring her back. She's a good girl. Destroy all creatures. There it is. It's time for one last job. Oh, yeah. Another Calamity there. We saddle you. And we take it home. Ding, 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 ding. That's what I wanted. That was great. I loved it. So fun. All right, round 3. Let's go. Couch Drake. I see Jace. I'm expecting some blue shenanigans potentially, but maybe not. We're gonna keep this hand, even though we don't really have early plays. We have a guaranteed turn 3. I'm gonna lead off with the Caves of Koilos. Doesn't really matter what land I lead off with. Not gonna play the Sulphurous Springs because that gives them extra information. So I don't need to be rushing that. There's 2 islands right there. There's 2 islands. Are we expecting a counter spell here? Maybe. So I'm gonna pass, and I'm gonna try to resort to the flanker instead. I'm gonna try to navigate around these potential counter spells by flashing. Okay. Could so flanker. Because now it's like, you want to counter this? You want to counter this? Well, you leave yourself wide open. Oof. Nah, let's go with you. Where do you have a Calamity? We do need the lands. Especially the Sulphurous Springs, in case we don't draw into the Cavern of Souls, then we'll still have 2 red sources to play it. Oh, artifacts, okay. So they're not like the first deck that we played. Bamboozling us here. Okay. I'm gonna play the flanker now. They can't do anything about it. What are we gonna do? We're gonna go for the scry. No, I'm gonna get rid of these 2. We're gonna saddle the flanker. We're gonna swing. I'll bring you back. And now I'm actually going to go for the first one, because that'll be a 5/3. Ooh. get this out of the way, but one last job. Looking mighty all right now. I kind of want to go for Bitter Triumph so I can push a lot of damage here while developing Liliana. Auto pay.
Something suspicious is going on. And for once, it's not my fault. You won't be outsmarting me.
Okay. They developed the Chimo, the Inner Sun. This is rough. This is rough. This is getting out of hand. We have the one last job, but not the proper setup for it. I can always... I mean, I kind of have to... I have no choice but to do this. I can't afford to discard their card.
Off you go.
So I'll get rid of one of those. I'm going to play this. I'm gonna get rid of Fortune, the Loyal Steed. The problem is this artifact is just allowing them to get endless value. We have no artifact interaction in this deck. Now, do I protect Liliana? Or do I...
We all have things we'd rather forget.
We have the one last job with Calamity and the flanker. I just don't see how we can... Problem is we go for this attack, they block into that, and we die. Because, you know, these things are massive. But I wanted to showcase off the combo anyways, but obviously like we have a bit of like a peak of a power that we can hit, right? And a very snowbally deck like this that just nets so much value is definitely not our kind of matchup. Like, as a Mardu mounts decks, there are quite a few bad matchups.
gonna need a good Undertaker.
Can't win them all. I don't know why you're laughing. So, we just got our asses kicked, but, you know. I guess that's funny. Lone Wolf. Oh, this is a nice hand. It's a very neat hand. Starving for mana, but should be a decent hand. Frontier Seeker can really help us in that regard. Oh, I thought I had haste for a moment. Okay. We're gonna play Frontier Seeker in hopes that we find a Plains. Beautiful. Wow, we're gonna big time mana screwed there. But that's what Frontier Seeker does. She fixes things. Okay. Okay, so they're gonna draw. They're gonna pick up 2 creatures. Damn. Okay. I have the Kutsil Flanker, which can be used to surprise block them. We gain 2 life, and we scry 2. We put the Caustic Bronco down there. What are we gonna do next turn? Next turn we have 4 mana, so we're probably gonna Frontier Seeker into like removal. Even though that card is problematic, so I'm actually gonna drop these 2. And then we're gonna trade you and you. Okay, there's Liliana. I'm gonna take that land, and I'm not sure here. Like, do we keeping the Bitter Triumph seems kind of pointless. I'm gonna go Caustic Bronco. I'm just gonna spread out. I'm gonna develop as much creatures as I can. Try to trade into them as much as I can. Double 2-drop is the way to go. I'm gonna trade those 2 into that. They may take their time, but I'm gonna make sure that I keep their board as simple as possible. We're gonna go for the Elegant Parlor now. Gonna send that to the graveyard. And now we go Caustic Bronco into that removal. I'm gonna block with the Bronco. And then I'm going to Bitter Triumph. I'm gonna discard a card. The Shepherd of the Clouds. Which will weaken the Resolute Reinforcements. Allow me to trade into that, take less damage, pick off that unit, and retain the Bronco here. Okay. Okay, we're gonna go Liliana. Pay the price.
No more distractions. Let's make this quick. Don't.
Okay. Keep you in the back. We need 1 more mana. We need 1 more mana. I was hoping to hit something more relevant than a Plains, but it is what it is. This is very tight. Like, I one more mana and I get to bring back both of these, which is nuts. Okay. Okay. They're at 34 health, so this is a matter of like us just getting that value. We have it set up, baby. We just need that one land. 41% chance. 41% chance to draw. Okay, they tap for that to scry. We're gonna get hit there. We can still use Liliana to clear the board a little bit. Come on. Come on, give me that land. Damn, the Merrick's just... Come on, please, give me that land. Please, that's all I'm asking for. That's all I need. Just that land. Okay. We don't get it. It's better than nothing. I'm gonna get rid of one of those.
Sacrifices must be made.
We're gonna one last job and get back the Shepherd of the Clouds. And the Shepherd of the Clouds will allow us to bring back the Frontier Seeker, who will hopefully not brick here. Oh, good. Giving us Calamity. And we're not gonna attack with Casa Branco, like that's just crazy. We need to hold the line here. We also don't, like, the word on the sky stops this. Okay. We still have some good trades here. And Frontier Seeker is good enough to trade into the Commando, who has no targets within our deck. We're not running enchantments or anything like that. Man, if I can find that one land, I can trigger my Pegasus. And that's everything. That is everything. We already have the mana to trigger that. Come on, baby. That's good for us. In reality, they should have attacked face. Like, Liliana is not doing anything for me here. Like, they should put me on a clock. This is a misplay by them. Hopefully I can punish it. Come on,
Whatever.
Land.
Luck favors the foolish, after all.
Land, please, land. Please, land. Okay. I mean, that works. That works too. One last job. Gonna pay 4 mana. Gonna bring back you. And then we're gonna saddle you. The Shepherd of the Clouds. And now we attack with Galloping Inferno. And because we have a mount, we're gonna be able to bring back these guys. Who do we prioritize? Kutso Flanker into Vault Plunder. I should have done it the other way around so I could draw the card now, because I would have been able to get a land here. Okay, they can exile a card from my graveyard. Okay. Good thing we have removal for that. We have blocks. Okay. Now I could saddle the Caustic Bronco as well, but that just requires too much. I need to have this backup. So now I'm going to swing with you.
Enough with the mysteries. I've come for answers.
I'm gonna go for the Bitter Triumph. Now, I was trying to see if I could bait them into blocking more, but that didn't work out. Wait, did I not? Wait. Oh my god, I forgot to trigger Liliana. I forgot to trigger Liliana. Oh, I derped. I derped big time. They're going in. I should have triggered Liliana. What was I thinking? Okay. Let's dictate the blocks. Okay, so you, you, we take 4 damage. We have Bitter Triumph in the back in case we need it. I should have triggered that though. Deals 4 damage to target attacking creature, the one that's blocking into that. Okay. Good chunk of their board erased. We'll bring that back. We actually have you. I'm gonna do this first.
Ah, one of your friends has to leave.
I'm gonna saddle you. I'm gonna swing. Galloping Inferno, bringing you back. Gonna trigger the Shepherd of the Clouds again. We obviously need you, but we need to focus on the order. Like, what are we doing with the order? We're bringing you back. Like, this is too much. So we're taking you. And then we're taking you. So we're taking the Frontier Seeker first. Triggering the back straight. And now we're gonna gain 2 life and scry 2. There's some slip-ups here and there, but to be honest, like, I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to get away with, like, I'm rusty, but, you know. But we really, this game was, like, super long, but we stabilized and we showcased what the deck is all about. And that's, like, the strongest combo with the Shepherd of the Clouds. You guys saw we just get to recycle our graveyard again and again. And we came back from what was a very tight situation. That was a sick one. All right, Lamb. And you know something that I realized in last game is we did not draw the Harvester of Misery, which would have allowed us to completely, like, deal with that. So we managed to win a Swarm battle without drawing that card, which is really neat. This is a keeper. We have 2 sources of black mana for Liliana. We have an Elegant Parlor for turn 1, which gets us halfway there for the requirement for Calamity. And we got a turn 2 Frontier Seeker. Like, we have... This hand is excellent. Elegant Parlor first. Let's Surveil. Fortune, Loyal Steed. We already have 2 different 3 mana plays, so I'm actually gonna send you to the graveyard. Because we already have one of these 2 things to do, and we have 4 of these. Concealed Courtyard, into Frontier Seeker, could find us another Fortune, or a Bronco. We're gonna draw a lot of lands there. And it seems this may be another Swarm matchup. I really want to showcase the Harvester of Misery, so we have to... At least it's mono-white humans. What if I Liliana? To discard. I think Liliana discard is really, really impactful here. Bottom, okay. Though to be fair, Fortune Loyal Steed is really nice, but Liliana just comes in now and does so much with this discard, I think.
Those who get in my way tend to regret it. Drop it.
We're gonna discard Calamity because we have 4 copies of One Last Job, and we get rid of a mountain. But I mean, that's a land. They don't turn on the land. Okay, so this Liliana was not as... Okay. Yeah, they're going for Liliana. This is the power of Liliana, baby. We're gonna let her go down, and we're gonna trade into the Ward in the Sky. She prevents so much damage from them. There's One Last Job. Beautiful. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna develop Fortune Loyal Steed, who we can use to scry. We want a land. And we want the Harvester of Misery potentially as well, so let's get full value out of that Fortune. Very nice. And now they're kind of like low on gas. Fortune has a good stat line to stop them on their tracks. They go for the clue. I still think that Liliana play was good. Like, it took a lot out of their Recruiter play. And this turn, they're just going to focus on that. We can still block that with Fortune. And we can still attack with Fortune, which is amazing. Because this is going to be a key flanker turn here. If I draw into my 5th land, I will be able to play Bronco as well. But if not, so be it. We're going to go with a flanker. We're going to scry 2 and heal 2. There's One Last Shot, but we already have one of those. So let's keep the land for now. We're going to saddle. The Warden cannot, like, kill our Fortune here. And now we're triggering this one. We do need to find, like... I already have the One Last Job. Let's not get greedy. Now the flanker is thick enough that it can trade really well into a lot of their units. So their plan is to keep pumping this Warden of the Sky, but it's going to be a slow process. They keep that in the back. We drop the Caves of Koilos. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time for One Last Job. Out. Out. As we search for the Harvester of Misery. And we heal. We heal. We make use of the stalemate as we continue to fish for the Harvester of Misery. Okay, strong hit. Strong hit, but at the same time, like, we can handle it. I'll be trading into the Warden of the Sky. It's a heavy hit, but we have a lot of health. Trigger this again. Again, we scrying. Eventually, we'll find that card. There we go. Just keep it like that. If they Merrick's now, that's great. Right now, the biggest threat is the Warden of the Inner Sky, because it can be continue to float over us. So they're spreading out really far and wide. They can only activate the ability of Warden of the Inner Sky as a sorcery, though. This card will essentially, every time they tap 3, as you can see there, they can tap 3 untapped artifacts or creatures, or both. And it gets +1/+1. And then they scry 1. And after they have 3 counters, which is what they have now, it also gets flying and vigilance. So this is like a 1-drop that they can build up, and it can become a win condition. So that's why I'm prioritizing the Bitter Triumph first over the Harvester of Misery. Now I'm going to do things differently. Now I'm going to trigger you. And I'm going to head into combat with Fortune, actually. I'm gonna try to bait them to block with the Warden of the Sky. That way I have a save attack with Fortune, because they could potentially block Fortune with these 2. And then I wouldn't be able to pull this back. But because I wait for that, now I go for the Bitter Triumph. I discard Fortune. And this way I guarantee that Fortune's effect resolves entirely. We bring them back. We lose the counters, but it's fine. We could apply them again. How's our health? No, let's put the counters. Let's get rid of that land there. And we call that a turn. I want them to wait 1 turn. Beautiful. Probably gonna be bopping the clue now to fish for something. Beautiful. And I finally get to showcase the Harvester of Misery. Booyah. Ha! Ha ha! And now... GG. Nori! Got him!